Hey everybody, welcome to this week's bonus podcast, a listener question segment. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and we've got two fantastic questions to be listening. No, not listening. We're the answering, aren't they? They're the listeners. We're the answerers. Hopefully do a good job, and by we, I mean
me
and me, Michael and
Gemma.
That's right, we've got our names right. How are you, Gemma?
I'm fine.
Are you ready to answer some questions? Are you got full of opinions and ideas and thoughts and stuff?
I have never been more ready.
Good, that's what we want. We are going to we're going to get cracking then. So we have got a question first by listener Gentle Dreams Edit. Definitely their actual name. Absolutely. Yeah. On the birth certificate and everything. And they would like to know, what are some things that Corrie should never do, should do, or should stop doing? So we're in the producer's chair here, Gemma. Iain Macleod has been here too long.
Mate.
They're saying, Michael and Gemma, sort us out of this rut. We didn't get any TV Choice Awards this week. What do we need to do?
They said, Michael and Gemma, please can you come in and help us, and you can have anything you want out of the Argos catalogue.
Yeah.
Of the Argos. I'll be there tomorrow.
Do we also get a lovely EE router in our homes?
No, because it makes a stupid noise.
The thing with this kind of question is it's easy to be negative and say, well, they can stop doing this, stop doing this, stop doing this. So I want to try and make some positive suggestions as well as some negative ones as well, with a little bit of constructive criticism. And I like the format of the should never do, should do, or should stop doing as well, because I'm not going to write anything down in the end of this, but it gives us something to hang everything off of. Mm-hmm. I thought we could look into different areas of Coronation Street and sort of do a bit about characters, what they should do, a bit about stories and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise we'd just be randomly rabbling on, which I know is what we usually like to do, but maybe today we have a sense of order to things. What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Gemma thinks yes. Then let's go to it. Do you want to kick us off with anything, Gemma? Let's go look on the big picture of things and look at the production of stuff.
Well, can I say something? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what number one thing they should start doing, is sending us the episodes for the week, so that we can just watch everything and in our own time and release an episode on Saturday morning, no matter what, every time. So that we can just watch it all when we want to and record it, and we don't have to spend every single Friday. And I know nobody makes us do this. Michael makes me do it.
Oh, there we go.
But it would be so much better. I'd have such a nicer life if I could just watch the episodes when I want to watch them. But what they shouldn't do is put them on the hub for everyone to watch.
Well, it's all right, because the hub is going. The days of the hub are limited. 3 weeks time. It's not going to be. ITVX is the new thing, and I am. So slightly worried that one of the big things they're going to try and launch ITVX with is getting the episodes of the soaps online there before anyone else, to try and up the subscription numbers.
Is to never ever upload episodes of Coronation Street online before they have aired.
So that's
on terrestrial television.
So that's something they should never do.
Never do. Never do that because it's stupid.
We've talked about this. I know that people
takes away one of the major reasons for watching a soap, which is that you watch it as a communal experience. There are very few live television experiences in the world left. Sports are basically one of the biggest things. They'll never be able to stop.
Yeah.
Stop that. But if you want people to talk about it as a group, then you really need to make sure that you show it so that everybody can watch it together.
I don't know how much those kind of conversations actually happen, but I'd like to think
they care.
No, I know. I'd like to think that they do, and prolonging it as much as possible would be lovely.
It makes me wonder whether that they did that experiment where they put it on and they haven't done it since. So it really makes me wonder whether they had a pretty bad experience with viewing figures and stuff.
They just listened to us ranting about it for hours when they were doing it.
The other thing to point out is that I think that the advertising packages are different for online versus terrestrial television.
Probably.
And so if I'm like Sainsbury's and I want to debut my new Christmas advert on the Friday slot of Coronation Street, and then I find out that it's been online since 8 o'clock in the morning and all the adverts are for blooming AA and EE or whatever, then I'm not going to bother, am I, buying that? Because because the online package has already been bought, and the online viewers are never going to be as high as the terrestrial ones, are they? They're just not.
I think with putting things online first, I get why you might do it, because it's like, well, that's where everything's going streaming. Well, isn't Netflix cool and everything? But I'm not convinced that the type of audience that Coronation Street attracts are the sort of people that would want to go online and see it first. I mean, I believe that Hollyoaks goes on, I don't know whether it's on All 4 or whether it's on E4 or something before the main showing of E4, but even that's a bit trendier. I just can't necessarily... I think if Coronation Street were to do this, then they might be thinking, oh, everyone's going to be going on to ITVX, this cool new streaming platform. It's called X. Yeah, everyone wants to go there. And they'll say, oh, what's this Coronation Street? Let's watch that. And I don't think that would work.
Coronation Street is not the same as other streaming shows. It just isn't. You can't binge Coronation Street.
No, I don't think so. I mean...
They just need to think about the fact that Coronation Street is unique and different. It's not like any other TV show. They need to have more faith in the format and not try to sell out and pretend that you can just shove everything online.
Yeah. Well, the World Cup's starting next week, I believe, and there hasn't been any news so far about things going online. I would have thought they would have done by this point if it was going to happen.
But they have completely messed up the schedule.
They have messed up the schedule, but, that's football, isn't it? Okay, so keeping on the production side of things, then what about things like, your episode numbers and everything? Because we've been on 6 episodes of Coronation Street for, 4 years, or, 3 hours worth of Coronation Street a week for 3, 4, 5 years. I've lost track now. And I think lots of people would be in agreement that something that they should never do is add any more episodes onto it.
Don't add any more. We don't need any more.
I don't think we do. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that the quality has dropped since doing it. I know a lot of people say they do, and I'm not saying the quality hasn't dropped, because in some ways it has, but in other ways it's better. But I don't think that the number of episodes that they do each week is really contributing to any significant drop in quality of the program.
I don't think so.
I just think that 3 hours is a big commitment, and I don't think that squeezing in any extra ones is going to do any more. Now, is something that they should do, reduce the number of episodes.
No.
I wouldn't be happy with that now. I know lots of people would be in disagreement there and say, no, put it down to, 2 half-an hours a week or 3 half-an hours a week.
No.
That'd be bad for the advertisers. And I think us
You literally can't now, and that the only reason is advertising.
But I think that a lot of people would be, really quite miffed if the quality... if the number of episodes did go down. Those people that really love Coronation Street say, well, how come you... No, wait a minute, what are you doing? Cutting my show down? And they might say, quality would go up and everything, but I don't really see that there is a strong correlation between the number of episodes and the quality necessarily. Of course, if you've got to pump out more things, it's going to be a bit of a rush, but they've got bigger teams and everything. I think they're managing just fine. It's other reasons why perhaps the quality isn't always as good as you might like it to be. But yeah, I think keep it as it is. The other option, I suppose, could be: do you take the 3 hours, of Coronation Street that we get at the moment, and put them onto over 6 days, 6 half-hour episodes, and then you got a bit of Coronation Street every day? Would you be interested in that?
Say that again, because I just got text message.
What about getting your 3 hours of Coronation Street, cutting it up into 6 episodes, because they're already written as episodes, and then putting half an hour on each day?
No.
I think it's nice to have breaks in between. Emmerdale's on every weekday, isn't it?
You're not going to get a coherent answer out of me on some of these, because I'm not watching it like I would do if I was most of everybody else. I'm watching this to make a podcast out of it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be incredibly inconvenient for me if it's on every bloody day for 6 days of the week, and then the 7th day is me recording a podcast.
I know that's true, but I just think that we need to be not just thinking about it from a personal standpoint.
I'm answering it from my perspective.
I'm kind of looking, would that be good for the wider viewership? And I think probably not. But one thing that would improve, hopefully, is, and this is the thing that I would, if I went in, if I was producer the next day, the first thing that I'd want to do is be like, get rid of the 3-day Weatherfield week, because out of everything that's going on in modern Coronation Street at the moment, the fact that every single episode follows on the next day after the next one, but there's never any gaps in between. There's never any weekend. There's never any Tuesday, never any Thursday, and everybody is just living in this bizarro world where there's 3 days a week. That really, really irks me, and I'm sure lots of people it doesn't make any difference to. But one thing about the older Coronation Streets that I did appreciate, and they kind of had to do it back in the early days when there were only 2 episodes in a week, is assume that time has gone past between each one. And if you got your episode on the Wednesday, the next episode's on the Monday, things have happened and people have been getting up to things that you haven't known about, and that was just fine for me. So I would say, yeah, what they should stop doing is making it sound like no time has gone in between. And of course sometimes you want there to be, well, I need to know what's happening the next day. They're not going to sit around twiddling their thumbs if there's been an explosion on Wednesday just waiting for Friday to do something about it. But on the whole, I think that could be managed a lot better. That's my little bugbear. Yeah. Anything else? Production-wise? What about things like...
I think they should give us an official podcast status and give us money.
You're thinking very selfishly again.
Well, you've written marketing, and I'm like, yeah, use us for marketing.
Is there anything that they could do differently for marketing wise?
What happened to those 2 little TikTok boys that they were going on about giving money to all that time ago, and then I've never heard a
I don't even know
since.
whether Coronation Street were the ones that went on about that. I think it was just like reported in a newspaper that they'd hired 2 people off of TikTok.
Do you think TikTok people
and
just
then
said that happened?
I don't know, maybe.
What a weird flex.
Is that, I mean, this is something that goes into a bigger discussion about general audience and who they're aiming Coronation Street at. Because it has felt over the last couple of years that they've been gunning for a bit more of a younger audience. Like, especially...
I think they've done a good job, but I'm not that audience, so I can't actually tell you. But it does really feel to me like they've done a very good job of incorporating younger characters and giving them meaningful storylines that feel authentic to that age group. If you're of that age group, let me know if they've done a good job or not.
I would say so, that they've done largely a good job as well, and there are a good crop of younger actors on Coronation Street, like late teens particularly. Last year with the hate crime story, Asha's had a few good stories under her belt in the last couple of years. At the moment we're seeing the story with Max and Hope going down to the even younger, but I'd be very interested to know, so has that actually increased the viewing demographic? And we've seen, from what little evidence we've got of social media, yes, there are definitely teenagers that are watching Coronation Street. Yes, there are teenagers that are listening to the podcast. Would they have been doing that if it hadn't been for this, striving to attract that kind of audience? I really don't know. It feels like to me lots of people watch Coronation Street because their families watched it. I don't know. I still don't see, in secondary schools, do all the cool kids hang around and discuss what went down in Weatherfield, and I don't know how much marketing stories towards that kind of age group would increase. I don't
think it works that way. I think what you'd need to do is hire somebody who's very popular already in their own right as an actor on the show to bring that audience in.
Well, they do put people on like Saturday morning kids TV and stuff. Like a couple of weeks ago, Ellie Mulvaney and a couple of others went on. I don't even know what it is, Saturday mornings anymore. So, kids are getting marketed to, which is good. But I would also say sometimes that I feel they're leaning a little bit too heavily on that, and some of the older characters are forgotten about. Because, just recently we've got the Max story, we've got Summer's story ad nauseum, we've got the Hope story, and it can be like, the majority of the stories in the week are revolving around teenagers. So I'm not saying that they should stop marketing to that age range or trying to, attract that kind of audience. But what they should maybe do is try and put a few more bigger stories with the older characters, just because you've got your older audience, especially, the very, very loyal audience that maybe have been watching for 10, 20, 30 plus years, and if all they're seeing is stories related to children or to characters that are 50 years younger than them or whatever, then they're going to drop off a little bit. So there needs to be, I would say, just a little bit more balance to things.
Yeah, but Coronation Street always skewed older. So
yeah, exactly. So I think they should be going a little bit.
Changing the show?
I think that they should go a bit more back to that and skew a bit more on the older side again. Don't give up on the teens completely, but that's what I think they should do. What they should never do, just thinking about target audience and everything, is only try and cater to one audience. And the thing with one demographic, yeah, that's the correct term. Well done. Because that's really difficult to do. And the thing with soaps is you're never gonna get somebody who absolutely adores everything and finds that it's perfectly catered to them. So keep up with the balance, I think.
Right. Another thing I think they should do is more location shooting, especially in like Manchester city centre. I want to see people really living in a real world. I want to see him go on a tram. That would be amazing. Imagine if there was that scene that we just had with Darian being confronted by those horrible racists in their nasty masks, and they chased him into Victoria Gardens. Imagine if he was trapped on a tram.
I'd
Imagine
love
how
that.
scary that would be. And also, that's going to be something that's not going to be completely unfamiliar to most of the people watching who live in a city with public transport that is like a tram or underground. Like, we've both had experiences of being stuck on a tram or a train or a tube with people that are rowdy or deliberately singling you out and bullying you, because that happens every now and then.
Yeah. And
so that's the sort of thing that they could put in and make it feel real, because Coronation Street is doing a really, really good job of expanding the set that they have and giving themselves lots of new spaces to film in. But I don't know why. I guess it's cheaper.
I think it is cheaper,
but cheaper doesn't always translate to...
No, I mean, are we saying what they should stop doing is expanding the set?
No, carry on expanding the set, but start doing more.
I wonder what the budget is between making a massive explosion or a sinkhole collapsing or whatever versus a couple more location shoots, because one of the reasons that they always give for not going out on location more, apart from getting papped and just general interactions with members of the public and trying to keep spoiler free and everything, is that filming out on location is expensive, and they've spent all these millions of pounds building Victoria Street, building the precinct that's being made at the moment, so that in the long term they don't have to pay to go out on location. So I'd be really interested to know how many tram shoots or how many in Manchester shoots do you get for one massive explosion? Because I think lots of people would say, well, yeah, I'll have one less explosion during the year if I get to see a little bit more real life, so I'm not looking at the same sets again.
But the explosions are another way of advertising, aren't they?
I know, it's very, very difficult.
You need to have those things.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about like when they opened Victoria Street and all that kind of stuff. Isn't it kind of mind-boggling to think that for so long Coronation Street is literally just Coronation Street and everything happened on that one set? And now we've got like double the space to walk up and down on.
Yeah. Well, you've got a lot more characters on there now, haven't you?
Yeah.
If you tried to cram all of the current characters onto the original set of Coronation Street, there'd be a shoulder to shoulder.
Well, imagine if you took the original cast and you spread them out onto what they've got now. You'd never see any of them.
Something else on the production lines that I think that they should stop doing, I would say. Was that one of the things that we have to do? Should stop doing is I'm going to say unnecessary filmic effects and sound and visual effects, because it used to be that kind of thing never happened at all, where you had extra noise put in or blurry camera angles or whatever, and then you had it like if it was a really special week or a Christmas day, they might put a bit of music in before or something. But it's starting to feel like it's creeping in, and every 2 or 3 weeks maybe you might get somebody who's feeling dazed, so they have to have dazed sound effects or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
it
but
really
I like
takes
that.
Sometimes I do. A lot of the time it takes me out of it. So I'm not going to say they should stop doing that completely, but something they should do is always consider, is that really necessary, and was it necessary? Maybe not. Would older Coronation Street have been enhanced by doing that kind of thing? And I think in most cases the answers would be no.
Yeah, but you're saying that, but like in the first week of Coronation Street, we had that really dramatic scene where the clock was ticking and it zoomed in on that to indicate the characters dying.
Yeah, when May Hardman was dying, that's very true. They were very, very out
at the very beginning of the show, because they were performing a play. You know, it's like watching a play, but they played around a lot more with the medium, and I would say that that's been a hallmark of Coronation Street since the very beginning, because they were trying to differentiate themselves and showing, yes, we are kind of like, you could watch this in your local theatre, but could you? No, because you can't get this effect in a theatre, can you?
I just don't want them to go any more down there, and something I absolutely do not want them to do, and I don't think, touch wood, that they ever will, is putting on like all the copious incidental music. Like when we watched that last week of Neighbours, there was like every other scene, it had a little bit of a musical interlude going into it or during it or anything, didn't they? And that's definitely a hallmark of Australian and American soaps. British soaps have never done that. So let's say should motifs. Never do musical motifs.
Here's something I think they should do, is make more of a deal about their behind the scenes talent, and talk more on social media about.
That's a good one.
They do a little bit of this, but I want more of it. Like, here's this guy who directed this episode. Why did you want to be a director? How did you get in? You know, just kind of mini little things like that. I think
people would be really interested in that, because they do every so often show here's how we made this stunt sort of thing,
and
don't
people
they?
like that.
And often they're stunts and I expect them to do it, and they don't necessarily. But I'd love there to be even like some kind of regular...
meet the crew.
And that could be some, just, on their social media or on their website or whatever.
They've got some really interesting people that work on there, and they've got real impressive credentials. And I think also we need to talk more about homegrown talent and about nurturing the industry and supporting people who are going into working in television in the UK. If you could inspire a whole generation of young people to go into TV by doing this sort of thing, and you'd also, I said this before about the awards as well, it's like writers and directors don't exist when it comes to the award ceremonies.
Yeah, I mean, we got your Tony Warren Award and the British Soap Awards, but... And
then they, the lines and stuff, that characters say... They always get attributed to the character or the actor. They don't write the lines. There are some amazing quotes and monologues and speeches. Who wrote them? Does anyone know? I mean, you can find out, but it's like, yeah. I don't know whether they're worried that it will reduce the mystique or whatever, but why do behind the scenes then?
I don't know whether it would be successful or not. I'd like to think it would, but maybe, something they should do is just try it out a little bit more. Give us more of a peek on how things are made. I reckon
we really enjoyed doing going and looking around the set when we went, and that was something that people enjoyed us talking about.
And the tour is doing well. So people, obviously, there is a thirst for going and seeing behind the scenes a little bit. I know it's not necessarily about how it's made, but more just setting foot on the cobbles and everything. But I think people would be interested.
Make a documentary about how you make Coronation Street, kind of like how when they finished Game of Thrones, they had a documentary about how they made that show.
Is something that Coronation Street should do an official Coronation Street podcast where they talk every week about how they make things.
We'll do it.
I
already asked for this.
Invite us up there. We can be the official Coronation Street podcast. We'd be lovely all the time.
I'll stop moaning if you give me money. I'm really easily bored.
Something else that is along those lines that I hadn't thought of before you kind of mentioned all this behind the scenes stuff is I would really love it. Here's a should do. Bring back the Corrie Good News thing with Colson Smith as a regular, because during the pandemic, was it weekly he used to do that?
Yeah, I think so.
It's like that's when he would interview the cast members or say, here's what the fans are doing, or here's a sneak look at this, or whatever. That was always something to look forward to during the weeks during lockdown when he was on. And with all these things, of course, there's a cost involved, but it just makes me wonder how much cost is there. Would they get anything out of it apart from the goodwill? And do they need any extra goodwill? Maybe, maybe not. But I'd really like to see them doing a little bit more for the fans. I guess I think that would go down quite well.
Get somebody to bloody sponsor it, and then you get money for it.
Yeah, why not?
Sponsored by whatever.
Anything like this would be great for their website as well, because something that Coronation Street should absolutely do is sort out their website, because it's like it's really out of date at times. It's got a fine enough format, and I guess maybe not enough people visit it. But on the character page, there's characters like Johnny Connor. I think has still got a profile there among the current cast, and a few of the others. And there's lots of new cast members that aren't on there. I would really, really like to see them do something to the website. Again, probably a budget thing, and online interaction with Coronation Street is so heavily weighted, I guess, now towards Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. But I would really, really like there to be a proper central kind of hub sort of place, which could be the official home of Coronation Street in your browser. And that's where you could put some of these extra things, maybe not have them appear on social media to try and direct people towards them. Maybe this is something that they could do with the ITVX coming up as well. I don't know. Okay, what about any sorts of story-wise? Is there anything with that you think they should do, or they should stop doing, or
having
never
multiple
do?
issue-based storylines going at the same time?
You reckon?
Start bringing back just inconsequential character development scenes where, like we had the other day with Glenda in the pub just chatting, and that's much more what people want to see.
I think people do like that kind of thing. That's a really good one for should. Just slow the pace of things down. And I'd like there to be more scenes that happen in Coronation Street where I think, I don't need to write any notes about that for the podcast, because it's really just people having a chat, and maybe I'll jot down a funny line that's been said. That sort of thing would be lovely, but they do need to be careful to make sure that they don't overly try and say, oh, look how hilarious this is. Because if we were to have, more scenes of just Mary saying, oh, this reminds me of the time, or my mother always said, those kind of scenes to me can sometimes feel a little bit too forced comedy, rather than the natural interactions between the characters that maybe we were more used to seeing in the past. So yeah, more scenes of nothing would be nice. I get why they don't do it, because they
want to tell stories,
keep the pace, they want to keep,
and they want to get on the front of the soap magazine, and they want everyone to know that there's this story going on and that story going on, and what is she going to say about that, and what is he going to do when he finds this out. Yeah,
you sometimes will get scenes that start off with characters just having a general natter about things, and then they go on to what the point of the scene is. But I don't know, there's just something about it that often makes those kind of conversations feel a little bit fake. Or, listen for the cymbal crash or the dudum tush because here's something funny someone said in it. And it doesn't need any of that. It's just kind of natural stuff would be lovely. And again, easier said than done. I would appreciate that. I would agree about the issues-based storylines. I don't mind sometimes if there are two concurrent ones, but maybe going a little less heavy on the issue stuff would be good, because I've really enjoyed things like the Ken Play story that we've had recently, and Eileen getting clonked on the head was funny, and changing personalities and stuff like that.
Who's getting married at the moment? Who's having is there a couple having a baby consensually that they intend to raise forever?
Wow, so no. Summer, Aaron?
No,
there's a few issues there.
No, I didn't say that, did I? I said a couple who are going to raise their own baby.
Oh, yeah, okay.
When was the last time there was a planned pregnancy that went off fine and everyone was happy about it, and the baby had a christening and it was all just brilliant and normal? Never. When's the last time? The last wedding we had was probably Tyrone and Phil. No. Now that's a different story altogether.
That's the bromance going a different way, yeah. Fizz and Phil was the last wedding
when was
wedding
that?
I'm going to say. That was back in June, July time. Not ages away. Don't need to see multiple weddings. You can't marry off everybody.
Yes, you
especially, in today's climate of not everybody gets married or anything. But
don't get started.
Yeah, I think that they should keep on going with the classic soap storylines of weddings and affairs and everything.
Christenings and funerals.
Yeah, because that is everyday life, isn't it? Yeah, the issues ones, keep going with them, but don't overkill maybe. What about things I would like it if certain stories weren't made as award bait. you know, because sometimes they'll put these big issue stories, it seems like they really, really push them because they want to have the names out there in the awards. And, well, I mean, this year they have kind of done that, haven't they?
They can't afford to ignore that because, like you say, you think they haven't...
this particular year, there hasn't been that big thing, but like obviously that's going to get nominated for all the awards.
Because one of the things that we noticed, it was really obvious the last time we went to the Soap Awards, was that there were really only, felt like, 2 storylines for every soap. And when the award nominees came in, it was like, oh, it's that character again. Oh, it's this scene again. Because the scene was nominated because it was this story and it was this moment and it was this character and it was that character and it was this, you know... It's you can't take Coronation Street out of the greater world of soap. You just can't do that anymore. You have to pander to the Soap Awards.
Yeah, you do.
You need a big A story, or you know, and Coronation. It's very strange to me that there isn't one this year, and I think that if they look back at this year, I don't know how this has happened. I don't know if it was on purpose or if we're missing, like, something didn't have a massive impact. I think the closest that we've had
this year is the Abby Toya Imran story, but even that kind of felt like it fizzled out a little bit towards the end, didn't it? And now we've got the Max story, and it feels like that could become it.
If that was the biggest story, they killed off one of the characters, and the other one's not even here anymore. So that didn't last the whole year, did it?
Yeah.
And I'm talking about stories that don't just last a year, but go on for years, because the Platts were always involved in something at the very beginning when we started doing this podcast. Their story went across a couple of years at one point.
Well, they did do a very long story for Jeff and Yasmin, didn't they? That was good. That lasted a few years. That's not this year. This year, the closest we've got to anything resembling a long story is the saga of Steve's roof, and I don't think that's going to be him in any awards, is it? No. The other thing, kind of story-wise, that I would love them to stop doing, even though deep in my heart I know that they won't or can't, or I don't know what, is this blocking of storytelling. So at the moment, you get a big story, well, you get any story that runs for a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maximum maybe, and then you just don't hear about it again for another 3 or 4 weeks, and then it comes back again, and it feels like it didn't used to be like that. And I think that's just a symptom of, you know, having the big cast, having to get the rotation in, having the different directors' blocks and everything like that. But as a viewer, that is something that has been very, very noticeable. And it's sometimes even with the big stories. Like, I'm absolutely stunned that the Stephen Reed storyline is being treated in this way.
What do you mean?
Well, as in, you get a couple of weeks of it, and then you don't hear from Stephen. I mean, what is he doing?
Where is he now?
What's Stephen up to at the
living
moment?
in his car.
I don't know. I mean, Gabrielle's gone away. He's murdered Leo, but now because we haven't seen Jenny or Stephen or Teddy or anyone in recent weeks, it's like, have they forgotten of?
Well, it feels a bit like story's over. He got away with it. The end.
But it isn't, is it? We know.
But what do you mean? It is now, because he wanted money to give to Gabrielle, and that was his only motivation for everything he did. He needed money to pay off Gabrielle. He's paid her off now. She's gone. Nobody knows he killed Leo, and Teddy's gone off to Canada. He may never return, because we all know Canada's full of bears. So,
it feels like that
do you see
story
what I'm
is.
saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
If they never had that story in again, nobody would notice. Probably.
Well, Stephen,
it feels like
Coronation Street don't like like killers getting away with it on the whole, do they?
No, that's not even true.
Why? Like who?
Gary's got away with it so many times.
Yeah, I guess so. But on the whole, soap justice still does count for something.
Out.
And I don't think they're going to have Stephen just saying, oh, that was lucky, I got away with that.
Well, what's his motivation then? That it's the end of that story, as far as I'm concerned.
He still doesn't have any of his own money, and I think that's going to be very important to him. But anyway, I'm not particularly. I don't want to focus too much on that one, but I do think that even for some of the big stories, they disappear for a bit and then they come back, and that even goes back to also like the Abby Imran Toya one, because it was amazing in kind of late spring into the Britain's Got Talent week, and then a few weeks after that. But then throughout, there was a huge stretch in the summer where nothing seemed to happen. Toya was off our screens. Abby was shacked up with Wendy Crozier. then we got, Toya coming back for about a week for the trial, then she disappears off again. So even with that huge story, they've not necessarily been able to sustain it, and that feels like that's the block storytelling.
I feel like it feels almost as though somebody behind the scenes who did something is gone. Where it feels, everything feels so disconnected.
A lot of the current behind the scenes people have been doing it for a very long time, haven't they? Even the writers, because people say, the writers aren't as good these days as they used to be, but you still see some of the same names. If you watch the ITV3 Coronation Street, or even earlier than that, you say, oh, so and so, he still writes. Oh, so and so, oh yeah, I saw her name on the credits even now. So it's not that it's poor writers. I don't know whether it's they're giving them too many to pump out at once or what. But no, it's the block.
The writing was bad.
No, okay, but yeah, just generally the blocking make things very. And even I'm still sometimes, if a story comes up and that hasn't been on for 3 or 4 weeks, I go, what was the last thing that happened with this? I don't really remember. And if I, as a podcaster, am thinking I don't remember what this character was up to last, then what hope have we got that the more casual viewer are going to remember it?
Yeah.
I was also kind of thinking, what else was I thinking?
Get rid of loads of characters. That's what
because some of these problems are. This is just turning into a moan fest, and I really, really didn't want it to. But maybe this is just us being a bit cathartic about it. This is us being Brian Park and swinging the axe.
To ask somebody what should somebody stop doing without, being negative about it. Get rid of loads of characters.
There's
And I couldn't tell you which ones. We've had this question a lot actually, when we've tried to say, which 5 characters would you get rid of, or if you could get rid of anybody, who would it be? And I hate saying it, and I hate talking about it, because I think on the whole, all the actors, again, not with some exceptions, are really great, very professional. I enjoy their characters, and when it's all very easy in general sense to say, get rid of 20% or whatever. But if you ask me which ones, I couldn't tell you.
Everybody adds something to the show.
Yeah, I've got affection for the vast majority of the actors and characters.
I think it's everybody has the potential to add something to the show, but not everybody currently does.
They're not getting
because
the chance.
Sometimes they're not. Yeah, that's the thing. They're not in it enough to add something to the show.
It's also kind of disrespectful to them as artists to have them in these contracts where they're not allowed to do anything else. And
as in, not allowed to be on Strictly, not allowed to be on
any shows. Not that. No. Just sorry, we can't. A few of them get away with it, what's her face? He's off doing a play. Maureen Lipman. She, they're going to tell her that she can't do something. No. But there's loads of people that just sit on their bums doing nothing when they could be, expanding their careers. And the other thing about it, Coronation Street, they get very possessive of people, and these actors could be expanding their careers and becoming more high profile and becoming more valuable to the show. But they can't, because they're stuck in these contracts where you might not even say you get your episode count that you're contracted for, but it could just be sitting around in the background now.
But if I'm a producer, do I want my cast members going off trying other things and thinking, oh, actually the grass is greener over there, I'm gonna maybe spread my wings?
You're never
going to
run out of people that are talented that can be on Coronation Street, and I can tell you that for a fact. You're never going to run out of people, and there's nobody in the show who is so amazing that they're irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Because Coronation Street has taken people that felt irreplaceable and turned them into boring, drudgy, crap characters that nobody wants to hear from. Haven't they?
And equally, they've taken characters that people didn't think much of, given them a mega story, and then suddenly everyone loves them.
There are loads of characters that I can think of that, quite a few characters that were superstar characters that everybody loved and they were hyped so much. Now they're barely in it at all. They could if they had left at the height of their fame to go off to pursue other things, because Coronation Street let them do that, it wouldn't actually have been as much a loss, really, because I think it's better to have somebody, say, who played Kelly.
Yeah, Millie Gibson.
No.
No?
Well, Millie Gibson or
Who are you thinking of? What's the character?
Hoopy earrings, big pink.
Tina, yeah.
Big pink wedding dress. Not Tina.
Oh, Eva.
No. Big pink wedding dress.
Catherine Kelly.
She was in it for like
Becky
3
McDonald.
years. She was hardly in it.
Yeah.
She went, bye everybody, I've made my career here, see you later. Is that really a detriment to Coronation Street? Was she so irreplaceable that nobody's been in it since who's good? That's not true at all. But she's gone on to do amazing things, and the fact that she was in Coronation Street, I think, is a good thing for the show. There are lots of people who are there who might be able to do different things with their career, but they can't because Coronation Street won't let them, but they also won't let them be in it either. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
totally.
sorry, you can't go off and do anything else, but here's your scene for the next week. It's you are in the cafe eating a baked bean. Okay? Right, see you next week then.
Yeah.
What's the point of that? It's really disrespectful to some of the actors.
Yeah, some of them probably like it, but those people could stay that if they were given the opportunity to try
the people
other
that
things.
like it, that's fine. That's fine for them. I'm not saying you have to go off and be in a panto, you know, but let people have a bit of time off. And I think the fact that some characters go off and you don't see them for months on end and you don't even notice proves that it wouldn't be such a big deal.
Yeah, I think that thing is,
it probably would be a nightmare to schedule around people.
Yeah, I mean, people's holidays are probably difficult enough to schedule around.
You need a massive amount of time, but at the same time, if you're saying to somebody, right, we don't need you really for the next 3 months, is it really gonna kill you for them to say, okay, well, can I do a short film? I don't know what I don't know what the contracts are like, but I just get the impression from what people who have left said, not people that are there because they would never say this, but people who have left have said, I left because I wanted to do other things and they wouldn't let me. How many times have we heard that story when we've been doing character profiles about people?
On the subject of characters, something else that I think that Corrie should do more of is remembering friendship groups and just letting people be friends. I mean, the classic example that I always hark on about is Gail and Sally, who are supposed to be, and who have definitely been in the past, really, really great mates, but they never have any scenes together. And I think that to try and add a little bit more kind of warmth and joy to the programme, having people just generally enjoying each other's company, maybe having a bit of a bitch or a little bit of a gossip about something, and just feeling kind of natural and relaxed with each other would be lovely. People are either on this programme seem to be, you know, workmates, or they're dating or married or whatever, but actual friendships, you pick a random Coronation Street character and say who are they friends with. Quite often I think it'd be quite difficult. So just being able to see them on a night out or something, you know, would be really good. I think that when Iain Macleod came into the show, he said, I want to bring back the classic Corrie comedy. Definitely one of my mantras would be, Let's be friends. Let's have people be friends. Let's give people that are just, you know, somebody who can support them, because then that can lead to some really great character moments. If somebody's going through a tough time, if a character is, you know, going through the ringer, then they've got somebody who they can have a lovely little dialogue scene with. I think that's something that Corrie is maybe missing a little bit at the moment, don't you? I
also I think you're completely right, because if you go back to the very beginning of Coronation Street, who were the most iconic group of characters? That was you, Michael.
That was me.
Put it on mute. That would be Ina, Minnie and Martha. Who have we got now like that? No, sorry, doesn't exist.
I mean, we've had some friends in the past, like, and everybody looks back fondly on, say, Stephen Lloyd, don't they? They were great mates.
You said it like his name was Stephen Lloyd.
Steve and Lloyd, not Stephen Lloyd. And there are some friends at the moment, but yeah, few and far between, I would say. So let's get that back up again. And maybe having a few more characters, try meeting other characters that they haven't seen very much of. And I think during the pandemic there were certainly a lot more blocks of characters and certain paths would never cross. We're not seeing quite so much of that again, but there's definitely still some people who never interact with anybody, isn't there? And it'd be nice to be able to give them the opportunity to. And I think that having more scenes in the Rovers, which is absolutely should do, is would facilitate that. Just a natural place for everybody to congregate and have a bit of a chat and a debrief at the end of the day, because the cafe now is far too overused, I believe, and that maybe is a should stop doing. Stop having everybody having their breakfast at the cafe, it seems, and start doing actually showing people having their breakfast at home. You so rarely see characters.
You never see them have breakfast together.
No, they don't. And that's a good character building thing, isn't it?
Yeah. And another thing that's happened, it feels like it's just kind of happened recently. And I think it's because of relationships that have happened. But it feels like the family units are a lot more blurred than they always used to be. Because there's lots of people who are now in multiple families at once.
Yeah,
which didn't really happen as much as it does now, you know.
Yeah,
like the Platts include Adam now, and Adam's also involved in the obviously in the Barlows, but then so is say Carla. That's weird.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, it's not, that's how families work, but I feel like the family unit thing used to be a bigger part of Coronation Street. Like, here's the here's the blah family, here's the blah family, here's the blah family. The only group you could say that about is the blimmin' Baileys.
The Baileys. And that's one thing that I will always, say, yeah, well done, keep doing that too. So keep on having families like the Baileys where they just have, their Bailey scenes. And I'd like there to be. We always
complain that Baileys are separate from everyone else.
Yeah, I know.
What?
You can still have lots of families having their own separate family things, and then they come together in the pub at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you got and again, just generally having a chat and seeing how these different characters bounce off each other. I would definitely want to have that. Much less cafe. And there's nothing particularly, nothing that I can think of that makes the cafe a worse place than the Rovers. But I think as a traditionalist at heart, the Rovers should be there all the time. That should be the heart of the show, and it's not. Anymore. It feels like the cafe is, and occasionally you get your bistro and your speed dial. Something that's linked to what you said about the location shooting is I would really desperately like to see them go out and film in some real restaurants a little bit more, because it's becoming a bit of a joke. People saying let's go out for a bistro for a treat for our tea, because again it seems most people seem to go there to the bistro 2 or 3 times a week. Yeah. There's only 2 places to eat in Weatherfield.
Why don't they eat in their own house?
Yeah, that's honestly, that's really true as well. You don't often see characters sitting down and having their tea, do you?
The only people I can think of that do that are the Nazirs and the Stape Browns. And even the Stape Browns, you only hear them saying, "Oh, let's have our dinner."
There's a lot. I mean,
you saw Hope with her sausage this last week, but.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel very. I mean, I guess again, it's one of these things where it's a bit of a pain to film because you got to get all the props and stuff. I don't know.
And it is also a reflection on modern times as well, that maybe families don't sit down and have dinner together as much as they used to.
But that's not the sort of realism that we really want out of Coronation Street, is it?
So yeah, I think I'd really like to see them doing that.
I think we should probably stop now. We've got so much more that we could say, but we've been going for.
I just want to know, just one final one. We haven't done very many of the should never do's, and it's making me think, like, is there anything that Coronation Street has done before that we say don't do that again?
Don't have everybody singing a Christmas song together that then bleeds into another scene.
Or is there anything that we know that other soaps do that we don't want them to do? Like I said, they should never start putting loads of incidental music in.
Never do that.
I would also hope that Coronation Street never gets to a stage where they go utterly crazy, like some of these American soaps you hear of
having the devil in it.
Yeah, or completely or supernatural stuff, or even I don't want them to do anything like EastEnders did, when there was a character who was pretty much canonically dead in Den Watts, and having him come back because for the shock value and looking at what happened there, but they can't maybe do that.
I don't know what happened there.
Den was shot by a canal or something, and then he came back, and then everything went wrong because the actor was a bit naughty online.
Never get rid of the Rovers.
Never get rid of the Rovers, but yeah, never flagrantly say we don't need to worry about
Canon.
canon and continuity, because that's something that Coronation Street has got going for it.
That's its strength.
None of the other TV soaps have a 60-year heritage, and I know Emmerdale's been going 50 and everything, but never starts to say, well, nobody will remember such and such, so therefore we can do this. And occasionally it slipped through, but on the whole, they're pretty good at keeping to respecting its own history, and I think that's really, really important that they keep on doing.
One final thing, more merch, please.
Oh yes, merch would be lovely.
Can we not have a sodding calendar?
Definitely more merch.
Can I just suggest the idea that if a calendar exists in Canada, it might be possible to import it in a fairly cheap and reasonable pricing for here?
I think so.
If it's been designed and it's sold in Canada, is it really so much? Could you not just pop someone down to Tesco and have them print out a bunch of calendars? Honestly, even if you make £1 off of all of them, is it not worth having a punt?
Having a bash at it. Go on.
How about this? Coronation Street and Argos calendar with everybody enjoying their new sofas and beautiful yeah, how about this? Instead of having the Argos catalogue, just have the Argos catalogue, but all the pictures have got Coronation Street characters in it. Going, bloody love this sofa. It's brilliant. Look at this plate I'm eating my beans off of.
Great. And here's my final one as well. I think that they should definitely make all the old available episodes available online somehow.
Do you reckon the reason they don't do it is because they know that some of them are well dodgy and they can't be bothered to watch them to weed it out?
There probably are. There's probably some things back in the older days.
Can you imagine if they just put everything online and then like 5 minutes later everyone's like, what did you say about gypsies?
Yeah. Somebody's job would have to be to sit down for every day for many years to say, I'm going to watch everything in Coronation Street, and anything there that's a little bit would need to have a warning on it.
Well, just put a warning at the beginning of all of them. Coronation Street was filmed in 1961. Get over it.
Yeah. Don't complain. Okay. Well, there's our very long ranty answer to the question. I didn't want to be ranty, but you're right. If people are saying what should they do, what shouldn't they do, what should they never do, then it's naturally a way of saying
what should what should they stop doing? Never stop smiling.
Well,
we're not that sort of people, are we?
I think that is a very good point, actually. To never give up on the comedy and smiles in favour of pure drama.
And here's one, final one. Never stop.
Never stop. Yes, they should never stop.
Never stop making it so that we can complain about it.
There's, like you said, we could have gone on about this for a very, very long time.
You've got a lot of notes that you've written. I've got plenty. And there's a lot more to say, but
yeah, I'd be really interested to hear listeners' takes on this one. So give us an email at conversationstreet@gmail.com if you want to share some of your should do's, should never do's, and should what's the other one? Should stop doing or something like that. I think that's what it was. Thank you for your great question, Gentle Dream Edits, but it's time to move on to the next one. And hopefully this one's going to be a bit more of a whimsical discussion, because this one comes from listener George, who would like to know, now that the UK will take over from Ukraine as host as the 67th Eurovision next May, which of the residents would you choose as presenters? And he has given a little bit of extra conditions to this that we may or may not stick to, but he says you must pick 3, and they have to be currently living on the street, so that you can't pick anyone who's dead or any character that has left the cobbles. Also, you need to make one of your 3 picks the green room host. So Gemma, what are you up to?
I've dropped something and I don't know what it was. It came out of the Coronation Street Rovers thing.
Oh, we'll have a look later. We'll find it. So, Eurovision, Gemma. Tell me about your long-time love of Eurovision.
What's Eurovision? What do you mean?
You got me into Eurovision.
Did I? I love it. You got to have a party every year, have everyone come round, everybody watch it, and go, oh, that was crap. Everyone's got to have a scoreboard for what they think they like. Mm-hmm. I love it. And we always have to complain about nobody voting for us, except for last year when we really should actually have won.
Yeah.
It's really Putin that made us lose.
I watched it on and off before I met you, and
I don't understand how you could not be fascinated by Eurovision Song Contest. It's like the loopiest thing.
It was never like a big Dodson family party, let's get the scorecards out or anything, but maybe I might watch it on a Saturday night if there's nothing else on, just to see what the songs were. But it's certainly become an event in our household over the last 20 years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And it'd be very sad if it ever were to end. So now we get to add our own Coronation Street-y twists to it by choosing 3 characters.
Yeah, so it takes place in 2023 in Liverpool.
Yes, that just was announced in the last month or so, wasn't it? So it's good. It's that's only a stone's throw away from Manchester, so it's not out of the realms of possibility that a Coronation Street character could. Okay, it's not going to happen.
But I think, I saw this and immediately thought, I know exactly who I'm going to pick.
I haven't thought at all. I've just been kind of thinking of things like, what are the qualities of a good Eurovision presenter? Who on the street would even be interested in Eurovision?
The thing is about it is that I don't remember the last time we ever hosted the Eurovision Song Contest. And I think a bit of the charm of it, for me, is that it is just so loopy and foreign.
Well, Katrina and the Waves last one, I think it was 97, so maybe it was at least almost 25 years since we've had it.
But my favourite thing about Eurovision is the fact that there are 3 hosts who obviously have English as a second language and make jokes for an audience of people across the whole continent, all of whom probably have English as a second language. And the sort of level of humour is so bizarre and weird because it's kind of like translated back a million different times, and it's got to make sense to everybody. So they were like, hello and welcome to the Eurovision Song Contest. I can't wait to get on with the songs.
So are we going to have some...
we're not going to have that here.
We can't have that exact thing, but do we choose Coronation Street characters that have got... very interesting accents, because we've got a few.
We've got to have people that everyone can understand their accents.
Okay, so
luckily on Coronation Street, I think everyone has got.
I think everybody's fair. If there was a really thick, broad
Adam can't
northern. Do it. I think he'd be understandable. I think that pretty much everybody could. I mean, do we get Alina back to add up that bit of the Euro?
Experience.
Yeah, the Euros pop to it. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know whether I'd be up for that, to be honest. Who do you think, like on Coronation Street, watches Eurovision? Which characters every year sit down?
Glenda, Sean, Billy. I think David watches it secretly when Shona goes to bed, and Shona watches it during the day.
I kind of like to think that Jenny does, but I know that Sally Ann Matthews, who plays Jenny, is a big Eurovision watcher. But it seems like that's quite campy enough for Jenny to get into.
I think.
I wonder. I think that people like Paul probably would. I imagine him sitting there in his unicorn onesie.
No.
Sometimes they make him say things that make him. To try and make him seem more in touch with that kind of culture than I know what you're saying, but
I don't. Paul, when they say, "Oh, Paul's got a unicorn onesie," I think no, he doesn't, does he?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, I agree with you.
Gemma probably watches it.
Oh yeah, she'd be up for it, wouldn't she? Or like, which other households could it be on? I don't know really. I mean, I don't imagine like say the Alahans do. Kevin clearly wouldn't watch that, but Abby, is she going to get him into it? Maybe, maybe not. Platts, like you said, David maybe in secret. Don't know about it. I could see Gail getting really into it actually, because we've seen her having a bit of a bop round the kitchen, haven't we? While she's doing her cleaning or whatever.
Well, I can imagine. I can
see that being a secret love of
ours.
I
can imagine Sally watching it because she thinks it's cultural.
Yes, that's a very good point. Yeah,
And she'll be like, Tim, you can learn a lot about different people if you watch Eurovision Song Contest. And then they both sit down, and then some like comely milkmaids come out with their baps out, and Tim's suddenly very interested in being cultural.
Yeah, and Sally does her shocked look. Okay,
not that kind of culture.
What else does
Can I just say that
go on.
that Eurovision Song Contest actually is very widely watched in this country? It had 48% of viewership share. Obviously, not everybody's watching television at the same time, but about 10 million people watch it in the UK, which is actually massive.
Yeah. Or maybe Jenny should have it on in Italian in the pub next year.
I would say, at least 20, 30 people in the Coronation Street cast would
probably do watch
characters would be watching Eurovision Song Contest.
Okay.
I think that they should have a Eurovision Song Contest watching party in the Rovers, but I know they won't because it's a BBC programme.
Yeah, not allowed to mention it probably. Yeah,
No.
but EastEnders would have it, wouldn't they?
Do you think they'd be like, oh, are you going to watch the song contest later?
They talk about occasionally watching the football, don't they? But I suppose that's also on 3 as well.
Yeah.
So what else? Because we're not going to be able to get that unique Euro or European linguistic kind of kookiness to it. But what else would you say humour were the qualities of a good Eurovision presenter? Because
wear a nice outfit.
Yeah.
Very good looking.
Got to be
very personable.
I think they've got to be able to paint a smile on and smile through anything, because sometimes live TV can go a bit wrong, can't it? And and they've got to be have this perfect grin.
Tell you who they need.
White teeth.
Not Amanda Holden. Mm-hmm. Somebody who knows what the countries are and can recognise them by their flags. And knows where they are in the world.
Well, David did do really well in his geography GCSE, I remember, so we might be able to help out with that one.
Can I just say, one thing I'm grateful for, and I hope that I don't get proven wrong on this, is that I'm fairly sure that because it's BBC, we're not going to get Ant and bloody Deck or bloody Holly Willoughby and stupid Philip Schofield doing it. Because if they were the presenters, I think I'd have to not watch it.
Well, they're not Coronation Street
presenting
characters,
it?
so it's okay. I don't know whether it's been... I had a look back at past UK hosts of it, and I don't even know who Katie Boyle is, but apparently she presented it 4 times back in the day. Angela Rippon presented it for us once. He's an old TV news reader.
We need
what?
Challenge Annika.
Oh yeah, Annika Rice.
Yeah,
she might be good. The last people to present it here was Ulrika Johnson and Terry Wogan. They presented the show after Katrina and the Waves won it in the late 90s. But I think you've got to be able to be very positive. Good looking is definitely important. You've got to be like a master of the dramatic pause. And probably lots of people on Coronation Street are quite good at that. They're used to all the cliffhangers and everything because, to reveal the points or whatever, and the person in second place is Azerbaijan or whatever.
Yeah. Who's the one who used to do Dermot?
Dermot O'Leary.
See, I've just googled, and apparently the 3 favourites for the UK are Graham Norton, which I think would be a mistake because we need him in the little room going, and this is a bit weird.
Yeah, but Terry Wogan used to do that job, and he presented
so it probably will be Graham
time.
Norton. Davina.
Oh yeah, Davina McCall.
Brilliant.
Would be good.
And Rylan, I was going to say him as a joke, but I think he'd be great in the green room.
Probably could be. He probably... I don't know whether in the green room there's often a presenter. Some years there are and some there isn't. But George has asked us to pick a green room host anyway.
I think it's about.
I think we definitely need to present somebody who's delivering the dry, sarcastic commentary as well. So we gave you a 4th person we need to have in there. So
Alison Hammond is apparently a big... I think if they get those 2 that I just mentioned, Holly and
Phil,
we're
not talking about the actual ones. We're trying to get competition for these people, Gemma, from Weatherfield. You said at the
James Corden.
No,
don't
well,
think
not
so.
really watching it if he's doing it. Gemma, you said at the beginning of this you had some strong ideas for who you wanted to be your presenters. So tell me, sell them to me.
Well, Daisy, Jenny, and Glenda.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So what's your reasoning?
But then I saw you put somewhere like, do we want diversity? And I'm like, oops.
I think that maybe we do want to have diversity.
No,
I think that's quite important for
I want Glenda. I want Glenda, Jenny, and Daisy.
Pot.
No.
Why those 2?
Because
3.
Not I'm against diversity, obviously, but I want my picks.
Why would they make good presenters?
Glenda's brilliant because she can sing and she's got that razzmatazz and gloss and glamour, right? And then she's a great. And I was thinking I wanted Jenny and Daisy because they're a brilliant double act just by themselves anyway. And then those 3 together, I think would be great because they're good at entertaining people. They're good at talking to people. They can engage all different sorts of people in conversation, and they look nice in dresses, and they're all really pretty.
I think Daisy might be good for the glam young side of it, and stick her in a sparkly dress and with her baps out and everything would probably go down a treat with the viewers. But I don't know whether I think she might. I don't think she would be able to be naturally projecting happiness and joy and positivity enough. I think that she'd kind of be a bit sarky about it. And the same with Jenny.
No, all right then. How about Jenny, Glenda, and Billy?
Jenny, Glenda, and Billy.
Jenny and Billy doing the main bits, and Glenda going around the green room going, "Are you all right? Are you having a good time? Did you like your song? I did. I think it was great."
I don't know
what made you bring a donkey in?
I don't know about Billy. I know that maybe.
No, what do you mean? He does his sermon every week.
Oh yeah, I guess he does have the presenting skills there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I could see him. He could standing there during the tense bit, just wringing his hands, going, But then if things did go wrong during the live transmission, I could just see him kind of freezing a little bit and looking very worried and pained and hoping that somebody would be able to save him.
The cracks, wouldn't she?
Maybe. I mean, we haven't said Sean as a possibly obvious one. I think that
if you don't want somebody who's dry and bitchy,
I think that adding the camp element to it would certainly be.
Billy's kind of camp.
Yeah, kind of. He is, I suppose.
Well, I think that Sean would be quite good taking over Graham Norton's job of talking about all the dramas and the weird stuff we're about to see.
I think that Jenny would be better than that. I can't...
Actually, do you know who'd be perfect for being Graham Norton? David Platt.
Oh yeah,
he would be so fantastic.
Yeah, David Platt doing the commentary. He'd be awesome. He wouldn't hold back on
he would not.
On his sarky remarks, would he?
Well, he'd be legendary.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know whether there's anybody that can top that, but they're just being there on the out on there for the show. I mean, I suppose another point that you could say for Jenny is she has lived in France for a little bit, hasn't she? And she's been on the cruise ships. I imagine that possibly maybe bilingual, and that's
Jenny's been on the cruise ships.
Yeah. Jenny worked on the cruise ships
for
a bit, but then
means.
so did Glenda. So maybe having some multilingual skills would be quite important. Who else we got? I need to see like a cast list or something to see if anybody jumps out at me. You load up your cast list on your phone for me. I think that for like the funny humour one, I wouldn't be adverse to putting Dev up there in the presenting duties.
Dev would definitely get
I think he's got the cheese factor.
Awkward, like weird pauses and clapping his hand together and looking around like, what has gone wrong? What now? What do we do?
I think he'd be good because he's generally able to stay happy, and he's maybe we want Dev from maybe 20 years ago doing it when he was a little bit more youthful, because I think the youth is certainly important, but I think that he could be quite fun on it. He as a Eurovision presenter, you always got to be on your feet, and he always stands behind that counter all day, doesn't he? So he's certainly used to standing around. Who else I've got a cast list now, and I'm just thinking, like, are there any like super mega cheesy camp people? I don't know whether there are. I mean, do you think like Abby would be good? She's certainly got the teeth for it, for sparkling those gnashes in front of the millions of people, but I don't know whether she's quite what they need. What do you think?
No. No, she's not glitzy, glammy enough.
What about? I know I just said I want something youthful, but what about like Audrey?
Rita.
No.
You won't be able to shut her up from singing.
she'd just be jumping on the stage and join in with them.
Off people.
Or Audrey could possibly be fun.
No, because she's not got very good microphone etiquette.
Has she not?
Didn't she do?
She did drop that mic, didn't she? That's very true. It's a shame, kind of being constrained to current characters, really, because
I think my picks are great. I don't think you're going to top my picks.
I think Glenda is an absolute must out of everybody. Yep. I mean, Dee Dee might be quite good as well. I was thinking Dee Dee would be
she'd be quite good in the green room. Maybe she's very sympathetic. She's got a nice smile. She'd be able to engage with people. I don't think she's got a brilliant sense of humour.
Can't tell yet.
No, she just seems like a nice person. She's not like funny.
No, but she is quite extravagant from what we've seen so far, and
she's got fashion.
Yeah, she does. She
wore that weird blazer the other day, which had everything drawn on it. When she went to court with Stu. If I was the judge, I'd be like, right, throwing this case out.
So, I'll definitely go with Glenda. I don't know. I don't know why. I'm not feeling Jenny and Daisy so much.
Of Terry Wogan as salt and pepper haired statesman of the street, we have to have Ken Barlow.
No, I don't think so.
Ken Barlow, Jenny, and Glenda.
What about? I mean, I know that George said that we weren't allowed to have older characters, but is there anybody from days gone by that you think would be natural fits? Because
if you try to give us rules when you ask us questions, it always chaos ensues.
Yes, we don't stick to no rules. Like Emma could be quite good.
No.
Do you think she'd be a bit too forgetful?
Fred Elliott.
What?
If you want everything to take twice as long as it would have done normally.
Eurovision goes on long enough.
I say.
No.
Nice song.
What about
Archie Shuttleworth?
Why are you just saying random names?
I'm not reading them off your list.
I know, but they're not going to be a good Eurovision host, are they? Would Becky make a good Eurovision host?
No.
I think put a couple of bottles or something inside her. She might be up for it.
I think a young Rita Tanner.
I think that young Dennis Tanner would be perfect.
Dennis Tanner would be brilliant.
He'd lend the camp factor. He's all about showbiz,
I would
isn't
love
he?
him.
Get 1960s Dennis Tanner in charge of.
Yeah.
He doesn't even need any co-hosts. He'd be able to do that.
He'd be doing
Is
all
there
by
anybody
himself.
else that's like, Michelle? She's a bit been on stage a few times.
What about the Irish singer that she's...
Oh, what? Kieran McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe. He's certainly got the looks, hasn't he? I know I'm just thinking of him being Keith Duffy from Boyzone as well. I don't know. I'm just kind of looking down my list here about other old characters.
Claudia?
No. You are really going for the old ones, aren't you? What about just sticking Bet there? Or somebody like,
You'd have to lift the smoking ban.
Yes. What about what was the name? Oh gosh. What was the completely gone by my head.
Podcasting.
The young teen from the early days of it. What was her name?
I was trying to think of her earlier.
Hewitt. Lucille Hewitt. That's
Lucille Hewitt. She can do go-go dancing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm saying from the old picks. Yeah, getting Bet. Who was the other one that I said that was good?
Don't listen to you.
No, you don't listen to me.
I don't remember.
I think we're kind of running out of things to say at the moment.
What about Rosie Webster?
Oh yeah, get Rosie up there. She'd add a touch of glam to it, wouldn't she?
Yeah.
Maybe like Maxine could do a good job of presenting.
No, Maxine was always very wooden. What about Raquel Watts? She's a professional model.
Oh yeah, she
and she knows how to smoke.
She does, doesn't she? That could
She
work.
trained herself.
I don't know, and I certainly feel that we haven't given the best answer to this one.
Excuse me, my picks have all been brilliant. My picks have been really good.
I should have maybe.
Did you not even think?
I thought that we might just be able to come up with things as we went.
Because you refused to acknowledge my greatness. If you acknowledged that those are brilliant picks, then we'd be able to move on from this.
They're quite good picks.
Oh well, screw you. I'm going to take all the credit for myself there. To tell you who I would like. Also, if you're going to have classic characters in the booth instead of Graham Norton, Irma Barlow would be fantashave and she can speak French as well.
I know. I think Irma Barlow might be a good just general presenter, to be honest. You'd
have to have subtitles for her, probably.
Yeah, quite possibly. But I mean, she's no, that would work for me.
She's got great hair too.
Yes.
The taller the hair, the better on Eurovision.
Yeah. Okay.
If we're going by hair height, then her and Bet should definitely do it together.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Dennis Tanner.
Yeah, Dennis Tanner,
Irma Barlow, and Bet Lynch from the old guard is the best that I can come up with at the moment.
Everybody who's watched classic episodes know that there is no lie detected there.
Yeah.
Classic trio.
Or maybe
Eurovision presenters.
Or do we go for Alina Pop, Ivan Chevesky, and who else we got? Vicky from the Factory.
Yeah.
As three European representatives for Coronation Street. I don't know. I don't think they'd make the best hosts.
There you go. Done it.
We're done.
Thanks for letting us pick the Eurovision Song Contest.
Sorry, George, that maybe we didn't come up with the best answers for that. Sorry, we didn't. Okay, the
so goddamn rude.
No, that we didn't
Sam Ryder would be so proud to be on stage with anybody I've mentioned.
We didn't mention lots of characters or be able to really think about why they would and wouldn't, because I think the answer is not many Coronation Street characters of years gone by would, or of the current cast would actually make the best hosts.
It's because they're all very normal people, and that's kind of a testament to Coronation Street and being able to make everybody seem fairly normal.
Grounded.
Yeah.
But I think we've got a few there that would do, but definitely David Platt in the commentary booth is absolutely. Oh, look, you're unmuting it. I'm sorry. Right. Are we done? Is this it for our listener questions podcast of the week? If anyone's got any better suggestions, please do write in and tell us, because I think you probably could top us on that one. Definitely me, at least. But yeah, that's it. We are done for this listener questions segment. Thank you everybody for listening. If you've been listening all this time, Gemma, have you got any final words that you'd like to say to our lovely listeners before we sign off for the evening?
No. Oh,
sure.
Make sure when you're having a shower, make sure that you wash between your toes.
Very important.